Pull. All right, excuse the random grunting or anything that might happen behind us, So in his book, he talks about 7 ingredients of success. If you want to write these down, 7 ingredients, all right, when you're looking at really being at your best, being at the top. And the first of these is peace of mind, all right? And of the 7 ingredients that he talks about, he says that it's probably one of the most important is that peace of mind, all right? It's the highest human good. Nothing else has, and that's just having that like inner harmony, whatever it is you're doing, that's really essential for optimal performance among all human groupings. And so when you guys are going through, like, one, this is something that we talk about, being centered, getting that time in the mornings, to be able to step into your day, or whatever it is that you're doing, just with flow, with harmony. He talked about how in corporations, peace of mind can be measured in terms of the amount of harmony that exists amongst coworkers, right? And so this is something really big, all right? The second thing is health and energy, all right? And so second ingredient of success is health and energy. Just as peace of mind is your normal and mental state, health and energy is a normal physical state, all right? And so your body is naturally like, wants to feel that way, like wants to have energy, wants to feel good, wants to feel healthy, and so that's a big thing that later on he talks about, like, yeah, you can achieve all these things, right? In the material world, you can get here, do this, whatever. And this is something that GoBundance, we talk about all the time. It's like, you can be super loaded, but if you're unhappy, you're unhealthy, like that's where people commit suicide all the time, right? Like, and so understanding the importance of being healthy and creating abundance in all areas of life, and understanding that our relationships are very important, our mental health, our like how we're showing up, our energy, our physical bodies, super important. You want to be in a hospital, 30 years from now, you've accomplished all these things, you're a multi-millionaire or billionaire, and you're sick as a dog, and you can't move, and you can't travel, and you can't do anything, because stress and anxiety has created disease and has put you in a really bad place, whatever that might be, right? And so we want to think about those things as you're going through. And that the third thing he talks about is loving relationships, right? And he shares, and this is actually one of our pillars in GoBundance, is relationship factor. But this is so important because as humans, we were designed to be creatures of community. And whether you like it or not, most of our happiness and unhappiness in life comes from our relationships with others, right? And so like, it is those human relationships and connections that really make us truly human. And so, when you're, anytime you want to measure, one of the things that I love is like the health of your relationships, you can measure it by laughter, right? And so how much 2 people or a family or a group laughs together is definitely a factor in how well things are going, right? When a relationship is truly happy, people laugh a lot when they're together, all right? When a relationship turns sour, one of the first things that go is the laughter, right? And the joy. The fourth ingredient you guys can jot down is financial freedom. And so to be financially free means that you have enough money that you don't have to worry about it continue like most people do, right? And financial freedom, by definition, is that your investments, your assets are producing enough cash to cover what you would have earned working, right? And so that you can truly work because you want to, not because you have to. And so the majority of the world is preoccupied with money problems, money issues, and money is important. But most worry, stress, and anxiety and loss of peace of mind are actually caused through money worries and relationship issues, all right? Many health problems are caused by stress and worry. And so just really understanding that, when you look at what do I want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and where you want to go financially, what you want to do. Some people say, oh, money's not important to me. Well, that's because you probably have had things provided for you. Money is very important. And it's how you feed your family, and it's how you keep a roof over their head, and at a basic level, right? Or be able to experience the world and do really cool things on a higher end level. All right. But these are important questions to ask yourself. Write these down. Or what kind of lifestyle do you want to be enjoying, right? 5, 10, 20 years from now? Like, how much do you want to have in the bank? How much do you want coming in off your interest and earnings from your investments on a yearly basis, right? And how much do you want to be worth when you retire? These are important things to start thinking about young, because the more you think about that, and the more you truly decide and clearly decide what it is that you want your financial picture to look like, the more you'll be able to use this, this system, this program, these steps, right? Like whatever, right, to get there faster than you might have ever imagined. And it all starts with any goal that you want to do is, have you really identified the end in mind? Have you clearly identified what it looks like, what it feels like as specific as freaking possible? Because when you have that clear roadmap, your mind knows where to go. Your subconscious can be like, nope, we got to get there, right? And if you're constantly showing it every day, like we've been talking about the importance of visualization, right? And affirmations, and every day you're reminding your subconscious, here's where we're going, right? Like it's going to get you there. It might not look always exactly how you thought you'd get there, because sometimes there's roadblocks, sometimes there's detours, right? But if we know clearly where we're going, our mind and our actions, right? We have to take actions will get us there. But just knowing that, and I recommend this book and for you guys to check out, because later in the book it talks a lot about these things. Number 5, the 5th ingredient you guys can jot down is worthy goals and ideals. All right. And so this is really huge. Like, to be truly happy, you really need that clear sense of direction. Like I was saying, if not, you just feel freaking lost all the time, right? Like in my book, I talk about how the mind is like a GPS machine. And yeah, you can be like, we're just going to go for a drive. We're going to go for you can do that sometimes, no problem. But after a while, you're like, where the heck are we, right? And it might not be as exciting. And so if there's somewhere that you want to get to, again, identify clearly where that is so that you can get there. All right. And this is number 6, is one of the ones that really hit me hard, probably in my mid-20s. I remember, I think I was 24 when I went to Landmark Education. And it was really all around this premise here. Like it really focused a lot on this, number 6, which is self-knowledge and self-awareness. Okay. So self-knowledge and self-awareness. And so guys, the fact is that forever and ever in this world, you've heard people say, know thyself, right? Like, and philosophers talking about this. But it really hit home for me when I really understood that. Understanding, why am I the way I am? Why do I act and react to things the way I do? And having really wanting to dive in and understand that programming, right? Because to perform at your best, you have to know who the heck you are and why you feel the way you do. Because if you go, I don't know, I just feel like this, or like, I don't know, this is just how I am. It's this sense of powerlessness, right? Like you're not powerful. And so you're just like a victim, or it's just like, it is what it is, and I can't do anything about it, right? We don't want that. We want to feel empowered. We want to be able to make choices and decisions that are going to move us forward in our lives. And so in order to do that, you have to understand the forces and influences that shaped you, your personality, your character since you were a young child. All right. And you need to know why you react and respond the way that you do to situations around you, because only when you understand and accept who you are and like really understand what made you you, can you really look forward and really create whatever you want. All right. Because now it's not by accident. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get there because this, or I got lucky. It's like, no, I got here because of X, Y, and Z. And now I want to go here. And so here's how I need to act or react, or here's who I need to be in order to get there. Right. But you can clearly make decisions and take an audit on how you act, how you react, where you want to go, so that you can really begin moving forward. All right. And so I remember I spent, that was the first event that I'd gone to. Several of my friends were talking about it, and they were like, oh, they were just lingo from the actual seminar, stuff that I didn't fully understand. Right. And I just remember going like, they're looking at me, I'm looking at them like they have 3 heads. I was just so confused. And they said, have you not been to Landmark? I said, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, and so they really encouraged me to go. And at that time, I wasn't sure why, but I knew that I wasn't like, I was in a state of questioning a lot that was going on. My cousin, who is my best friend in the whole world, and we, we're just a couple months apart. He had just passed away that spring. And I was processing a lot through the year. And I remember I was with my friends in August. And so my cousin passed in February. And in August, my friend's like, you should go to Landmark, like, I just think it'd be good for you. Like, no matter what, it'll just, if anything, it's at its core, it really helps you identify why you are the way you are and what's programmed you to get you to here. And then allows you space to really feel this like empowerment of like, okay, well, then I can create this. And there's a lot of really cool processes, resources to like, just go. I was like, fine. And I went to it, and I'll tell you guys, it was one of the most transformational things for me. A lot of things started shifting, and I'd realized I had gotten to a place even at that time where I was basically like my mother. And I was like, that is not who I want to be. It's not how I want to act. It's not how I want to treat people. I know that I need to make change. Right. And I really started working on that. And I encourage you guys, I know this November, there's a Tony Robbins event up in Dallas that people have been talking about, and we're going to circle back around and see if we can get some signups and go to that. But that seventh reading of success is a sense of personal fulfillment. All right. And so this is like just having this feeling of feeling good that you're actually becoming everything that you're capable of being, and it's that sure knowledge that you're moving forward, like that, reaching that full potential, right? And that's something that for me has always resonated, understanding each and every one of us has the ability to be so much more than we are today. Each and every one of us, I believe every human is like a little seed, and it's the seed of possibilities. And as corny as I can sound, if I left a seed here on this table, it would remain a seed. But a seed put in the right environment, put in the right soil, with the right nourishment, with the right lighting, can grow into something that provides a life to everyone around it, right? Whether that's through oxygen, through food, whatever it might be, but it has to be in the right environment and nurtured properly, right? And I think that's the same with humans. I feel like people have so much potential within them, but in the wrong environment, they never grow into what's possible and what they're capable of. And so these are things that you want to, understand that there are so many, hidden powers, and figuring out like what it is, like, what do I need to do to unlock, those powers within me? What do I need to do to get me to that next level, right? And understanding the mind and the different laws that govern us, right? And so I know later in the book he talked about the laws of mental mastery, and this is probably the foundation of everything, right? Because our mind controls so much of what we think, of what we feel. It creates our reality, like it's so crazy. And I'm sure, hopefully I'm not the only one who's done this. I'm sure like every human has done this at some point, that something happened. And so whether this was, this was somewhere that for me, I remember this happened like I was supposed to go on a date with somebody, right? Like super corny, but I remember we were supposed to go on a date. They were supposed to pick me up at a certain time. This was years ago. And they never called. They never showed up. And I was like, oh, really? And I was like, what a douchebag. Like, I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, never going to talk to this person again. I was like, what the heck? Whatever. My girlfriend's like, what happened? You guys, I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm like, screw that guy. Totally bad mouthing him. This is a guy that was like super sweet, super kind, but I was just like, screw that guy. I remember we went out, but I remember feeling really hurt. And later that night I got home, I still hadn't heard from him. And I remember I was probably, I don't know, 19, 20 years old. I was like crying that night. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Like, why would he just not call, not show? And like all this real sadness, feeling rejected, feeling like not enough. And questioning like how great I was, right? Has anyone done something like this before? Because the next day I found out his phone was stolen and something happened and his car broke down. And he's like, I'm so sorry. Like all this shit had happened. And here I am like, oh my gosh, thinking about myself, because again, we're human and that's what we do as humans. Okay. And I had no idea, what was going on. And I had created this whole reality in my head, and created this whole reality that I was like, maybe not lovable, not attractive enough, like all this stuff that I had created. And I was like sitting in my room, like crying my eyes out. And the next day he's like, Kat, I'm so sorry. My phone got stolen. I got in a car accident. This happened. He's like, it was the craziest day ever. I felt so bad. I had no way of getting a hold of you. Like I was out in the middle of nowhere and I was like, oh, damn, but like that, we do that to ourselves in so many different scenarios and so many different situations, like, because it's what we focus on, whatever we're focusing on and whatever we choose to believe in our minds is real. That is our reality. It is very real to us in that moment, right? And so how can we use that same power to create more good in our lives, right? Like knowing that our mind has the ability to create so much, we allow it on autopilot to create negative shit, okay? And attract negative shit. Like that's just, human beings are wired that way. And we allow it to attract more crap. But could we intentionally say, how can I like think about this, focus on this, believe this, and make this my reality, right? And that's something that we're going to continue talking about as you're working with us, as we spend time together and really understanding the power of that, and the power of these different laws that, again, govern us day in, day out. And many of these are things that we have personally created for ourselves, rules, laws, belief systems, right? And so Brian Tracy in the book talked about like the law of control. And he said, the law of control says that you feel positive about yourself to the degree which you feel you're in control of your own life. You feel negative when you're not in control, you're controlled by some external force, person, or influence. And so this is a big thing in psychology. They call locus of control theory. And so it's generally agreed that most stress, anxiety, tension, psychosomatic illnesses come from the result of a person feeling out of control or not in control in some important part of their life, and so this is a big thing. And he goes on to talk about a lot of different, laws. But one of the things I had shared with you guys the other day that I love was, the inverse paranoid that I talked to you guys about, right? Vincent Peale, I think was his name. And I wasn't able to find my book because I was so excited to share with you guys a bunch of stuff that I've highlighted and done. But again, these belief systems are just, it's nuts what it does. Has anyone ever heard the story about, I don't know if you guys have heard this, where a teacher had a classroom, and they were told that they had the best students, or they were told they had bad students and the results that they had. Has anyone heard stories like this before? So in the book, it actually shares this story of, there was a class that was, this was a true story. A young man graduated from a small town with straight A's. And then he applied for, whatever, he applied for the state university for admission. And so part of the scholarship aptitude test, he had to take this test. A few weeks later, he received a letter that he had scored in the 99th percentile on the test, and he was accepted for the fall semester. He was happy to accept it, but he didn't know about percentiles, and he concluded that the 99th percentile was his IQ score. And so he knew that average IQ was 100, and he felt he could never do university work with his limited intelligence. And so for the entire fall, he failed or nearly failed every course. And his counselor called him in and said, why are you doing so bad? He said, well, how can you blame me? I only have a 99 IQ. And the counselor had the students file in front of him. He's like, why do you say that? He's like, that's what my letter said of admission to the university. And the counselor realized what had happened. The difference between IQ and percentile, 99 percentile, means that you scored equal to or higher than 99% of the students in America who did this test. He's like, you're one of the smartest kids on this entire campus. And when the man realized his error and changed his belief, he became a different person. He went back to his classes, went to work with a new sense of competence and confidence. By the end of the semester, he was honor roll and eventually graduated top 10 of his class. And this story, guys, holds a very important lesson, that sometimes, we things are happening, we stick to some belief system about ourselves, about our capability, about whatever it might be. Hold on, Benjamin, can you please go play over there? Your brother is sleeping right here. Please go over there. Yeah, go over there. So Anyway, like just, and sometimes we choose to ignore or reject any of the evidence that contradicts what we've already decided to believe, So again, can you do an audit on your belief systems and really think about what it is that's happening, And for those who didn't hear me talk about Norman Vincent Peale the other day, but he was someone who was known as being an inverse paranoid, right? And he believed that everything in his life was working together to do good, and it just it's so cool to like read and check out, because it's like everything, like something would happen bad, nothing was bad. It's like, oh, what am I supposed to learn here? How is this supposed to grow me? Like, how is this moving forward? And he choose to believe that everything in his life was serving him and moving him forward in a positive way, whether it was a way he needed to strengthen, lessons he needed to learn, or doors that, whatever doors were opening, but that everything was guiding him to live his best life, right? What if we adopted a mindset like that? What if we chose to grow from everything that we went through? How much better could life be? How much more would we be able to create? It's pretty amazing to think about that, and see that in our lives. So I wanted to share this with you guys today, as we're going into this week. This week is the biggest year, just so you guys know, it is the biggest week of the year for Cutco, every single year. So the week we're about to go into right now, last week of July, is the biggest week of the year. All right. And this is not just a belief system. This is, I could show you every report, at least for the 21 years, 22 years that I've been here, every single. So we know July is our biggest sales month of the year as a company. We always have a huge boost between our professionals maximizing on Christmas and July specials, and so many customers and their repeat customers that take advantage of Christmas in July, but also all of our newer reps who are out for the summer, right? And obviously this being our Super Bowl, because this is a time when most people are available to be able to go out and crank, and the whole nation, all of North America, all of the US, like everyone's competing. We won't see the Canadians until our competition in October, but this one will be just the US facing off. But it is a huge week always, right? Are you putting yourself in a position to maximize it? All right. What does that look like? One, are you getting in front of as many freaking customers this week as possible, right? Makes a really big difference because it's a numbers game. All right. Number two, are you sharing your goals with excitement? And are you telling your customers, hey, this is the best freaking time to purchase. We have our Christmas and July specials ending next week. And we have our biggest competition of the year right now. The whole country's competing. So Miss Jones, take advantage of me because you are going to get the best deals right now. Are you sharing it with excitement? Are you letting them know about what's happening? And when you share your sales goals, you can always have fun. I'm like, oh, if you want to just write me a check for 10 grand, that'll be great. Then I'll definitely hit my goal this week. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding, Miss Susie. I'm like, although I won't stop you. Like, I'm assuming you didn't put aside 7 to 10 grand to redo your kitchen today. But I do want to let you know why so many people invest in Cutco. This stuff is amazing. But plant those seeds, go through, but just be excited when you share your goals. And do they know that the whole nation, even when you guys are on your phone calls right now, right? Do they know that everyone in the nation right now is competing for top spot? And whether top spot or not, kind of having their best week ever, right? Like going after their best week, their biggest week, breaking personal records, like that's what a lot of our top guys are after right now, and putting themselves in a position to go out and absolutely, dominate. For those who missed this the other day, I did create a document that talks about, just these are all the things, like as I've coached top performers over the last 21 and a half years, or I guess 21 years. The first half I was learning this thing. But you guys can click in the chat if you didn't get this the other day, but I walk through the step-by-step, process of like, hey, if you want to go out and absolutely dominate a big week, what does that look like? So you guys can see it. But again, this week, get in front of as many freaking customers. Number two, share your goals with excitement, from the phone to in person to whatever. Make sure you're doing that. Okay. Make sure you're talking about how we have Christmas and July specials. So hey, Miss Susie, and guys, you want them watching the presentation with buying eyes. Everyone heard me? You want them watching the presentation with buying eyes. If you book the appointment and you follow the phone approach. In the phone approach, it tells them, there's no obligation to buy, right? I get paid just to do it. If you put posts up, or your customers put posts, a lot of times it says there's no obligation to buy. Everyone with me, right? So they're starting the demo in their head. They go, and especially if you had that person, who here's had the person on the phone that told them, but by the way, I'm just doing this to help you. We can't buy anything, but like, I'll help you out, but I can't buy anything. Raise your hand if you had that. Those were all my first customers. Okay. And I remember not having sales and then telling my manager, oh, well, they just did it to help me out. And he's like, well, everybody does it to help you out. And I was like, huh? He's like, it's such a small percent of people that do it to actually buy. And you'll find those. And as you get more experience, as you get more leads, as you qualify your leads, and as you specifically ask for who do you know who's remodeling their kitchen, then you might see more of those. But pretty much everyone does the appointment to help you out. And then why did they give you Rex to help you out? Why did they buy the products? Because they actually ended up liking it. And they're like, shit, I'd rather buy from her than buy from the mall, And because they like you, sometimes they'll buy more stuff they would have bought at the mall anyway for Christmas gifts, for anniversaries, for birthdays, for whatever's coming up. But because of how you shared your goals, they're like, you know what, let's do it with you, or let's do it now versus later, and so that'll happen. So share your goals with excitement, and then just make sure you guys are calling in, call in. Is the customer considering? Is the customer definitely getting? And let your managers help you show them the best value, but get excited. Like excitement, you guys want results to go up this week. Your excitement level, your enthusiasm level, it has to go up. This includes managers, all right? Because your customers feed off of you, and managers, your reps feed off of you. So where is the level of excitement as we go into the biggest week of the year? All right. So I wanted to take some time just to connect with y'all, and share a couple things. I'm really excited for our alliance meetings this week. I know we've got a great lineup. Starting tomorrow with, tips and keys to overcoming adversity and having more resilience, and our goal is to really equip you guys through this process. Yes, help you make more money, help you build that financial freedom, but also help you personally in self-confidence, give you tools, give you resources that strengthen you to be able to take anything on. And that's something we're super excited for, you guys. And as you're doing that and you keep growing here, there's so many things that are going to be able to also help you professionally. And I'll be finishing up my interviews this next week for Leadership Academy. And so if you have not been able to come to an interview yet, I definitely am super excited to be able to get to meet with you. And then I'll be meeting with the managers next week to make our final decisions for our fall Leadership Academy. So make sure you guys are talking to your managers. So if I'm you, I'm doing everything to be impressive this week. Go have some fun and work your tush off for 1 week. How big could it be? Like, I want you guys to think about it as like starting tomorrow, and for the next 10 days, you get to redo your fast start, right? Like, what if you could go back and redo it? All right. We have more than 10 days. I don't know. We have more than 10 days. But come here, little butterball, come here, little butterball. So we've got more than 10 days. But treat it like that, and it's like 10 days. We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you got 2 bonus days, Thursday, Friday. But I know that next Sunday we'll use as a big call day to make sure that we absolutely load up the weekend. All right. But treat it like that. You guys know more that now than you knew before. You guys have learned more things. You have more tools. Hopefully you have more confidence than when you first started out, and I just want you guys to go have fun and get in front of as many freaking Mac customers as possible this week and see what we can create. All right. So with that,